Hi, I'm Jerri Norman. I'm a senior civil engineering major with a dual degree candidate for a Chinese language and culture. Will be attained in the fall of 2021. I am an RA on campus. I'm a co-captain of the women's rugby team. I am a former president of the National Society of Black Engineers chapter at Lafayette, and am currently an honors thesis candidate as well, working on research in COVID-19's impact on essential workers through public transportation and public policy.
Interesting. So hi, Jerri. I'm Alma Scott-Buczak. I'm currently the Associate Vice President of Human Resources for Lafayette College. I'm also an alum of the college. I graduated with a class of 1974, so that was the first full class of women that graduated from the college. I have served as a volunteer for a number of years. I was an alumni admissions rep, and then I was on the Board of Trustees for several years, and it was from the Board of Trustees that I was recruited into the new position to head up their human resources function. I've worked in human resources for over 40 years in a number of different industries, including transportation, so we have something in common there. So I'd love to hear what brought you to Lafayette. Why did you come here?
I was looking for something small but community-like. I was initially interested in the dual degree program for engineering and international affairs because it combined two of my interests of being able to either travel or learn about different countries on an international level, and work as an engineer in that way. However, I ended up not doing that with the hope to further my Chinese language skills that I had started in high school. But regardless of that, I really enjoyed the sense of community I felt, and I didn't feel like I was going to drown in a sea of too many students. Mm-hmm. So that was definitely an indicator or a way in which I thought I would have a good place here. When you got to campus and you were integrated into campus life, how was that for you, being a part of the first class of women?
Interesting. I didn't notice as much being a part of the first class of women as I did. It was also a year, one of the first years that they had a large population of African American students. But in any case, so I was used to being in a situation where I was one of the few women or one of the few black students. So none of that was strange to me. I loved academics. I was an economics major because, remember I said I didn't come here because I looked at anything about the school. I got here, realized they didn't have a business major, so I majored in economics. So I was an economics major. I was an RA. You mentioned you were an RA. I was in the McKelvey Scholars Program. I spent a lot of time with the Association of Black Collegians, just hanging out at the Black House, which is now called the Portlock Center. I also spent a lot of time just being involved with friends and talking to professors and doing research. And so I had a really full, wonderful experience here. And I remember two things about being in the first class of women, very important things. Number one, they had bathtubs in Roof Hall. No one could figure out why, because there was no way any of us were using those bathtubs. After about a year, they realized that was not a smart idea, and they covered them with wood, so you had this wooden thing in the bathrooms. And the other thing was, the first couple of weeks I was here, most of our classes, because I was liberal arts, most of them were in Party Hall. And when I would go to Pardee, the hinges on the door were so heavy, and I was like a 90-pound weakling. I literally couldn't open the doors for the first 2 weeks. So I would have to get to the building really early and hope that someone came along who was big enough to open the door for me so I could get to class. I think after a couple weeks, facilities figured that out, because I went one day and I could actually open the door, and I know it wasn't because I had developed muscles. But those are my two biggest memories about being in the first class of women at Lafayette.
You mentioned ABC. Right now, I'm working with ABC on an archives project, and I'll be here over the summer actually doing more archival work. But I wanted to know how ABC maybe shaped part of your time here, and also, I guess, other extracurricular or social opportunities that you had.
Okay. So as I said, ABC was very important to the Black students when we were here. For many of the students that came with me, they were first-generation students. Many of them had not been in environments where they were as rare as they are at Lafayette. So we sort of gravitated to the ABC as a way of a place of familiarity, a way to sort of let your hair down and not feel like you were so much on display as you might in other spaces on the campus. And it was everything from just hanging out and playing cards together to studying together. So we really were each other's support system and would study together, to we would have parties on Saturday night because the social life was in these fraternities, and there were no Black fraternities. So you were in a space where you were still a minority. Well, if we had a party together, then we weren't a minority, and we could play our music and hang out. But we also had a real passion about having an impact on the school, trying to leave it more welcoming for the students that would come behind us. So advocating with the administration to make those types of changes. We're advocating for more Black faculty, for more Black studies programs, and administrators for more programs that were supportive of students of color. And I say Black because most of the students were Black. The students of color were Black at that point. We weren't as diverse in terms of that population as we are now. But we also did community service work. So one of my favorite programs was a program called Black Children Can. And every Saturday we would bring kids up from the Eastern community and just bring them into a college environment and let them know that they were welcome in this space. And we'd do educational programs, we'd take them on trips, we would do an enrichment program for them, and that was probably one of my fondest memories about being part of the ABC. It has been an absolute pleasure meeting you and getting to know you, and now that I know you're going to be on campus, I'll be stalking you. I expect you to come visit me and talk to me and call me. I'll make sure you have all my numbers, and I'll try and hook you up with all my transportation friends. Okay.
I appreciate it. And I want to say thank you for having this conversation with me. I've had a great time learning about your experience at Lafayette, and I will love to stay connected with you with my continued time on campus and after I graduate again. And I look forward to seeing you more around campus as well.
Great.